Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Alright, so starting the stream off, this is going to be just a quick video about how to testing. Make, well, not make, as a lot of the work's been done, but to design a PvP mission. Starting the stream off, this is going to be just a quick video about how to testing. Alright, sorry about that, had some weird audio bugs going on. But yeah, all I'm doing right now is just getting the walls set up here for the boundaries that I want for the PvP. Well, as soon as I finish, it just has to go down to there. So as soon as I finish these, I'll pan out and I'll tell you guys, or show you guys, the big picture. Hopefully there aren't any audio issues, video issues. If so, just let me know in the chat. YouTube tends to have better quality than Twitch, especially when you're archiving videos. That's why I decided to do this one on YouTube rather than Twitch, as I expect it to. I want to be able to reference this for future sessions. But yeah, so finished making the wall. So what I had to do, since I essentially copied this mission from one of our PvP missions that we run on our private server, but obviously I had to change a lot of things around. For example, this is running all vanilla, so there's no mods. So that means all vanilla vehicles, loadouts, and kits. So that means what I had to do was go in and save the mission as a composition, essentially. So, and what that means, for those who are not familiar with compositions, they can be a lifesaver if you're trying to do like things that are repeated over and over again. For example, let's say you have to, you know, I want this like loadout here of these guys, and let's say I want them, I have multiple PvP missions set up, and I want to be able to place them down, like the same structure each and over again. I don't want to have to place each of these, because the very first thing I had to do before I had compositions was to place each of these individual units down and change and tweak their settings. So as you can see, each of them has their own description that will show up in the multiplayer lobby as, for example, Alpha 2-1 Squad Leader, Alpha 2-1 Assistant Auto Rifleman, so on and so forth. And each of them have their own call signs. Oops, that one wasn't changed. Supposed to have their own call signs, so that way, that just means when they talk in side chat or in group or over the radio, that will pop up in front of their name, so people know which squad they're part of. Interesting. So yeah, that's very weird. Let's try Alpha 2-2. There we go. That's how it should be. Yep, Alpha 2-2, and this should be Alpha 3-1. And this should be Alpha 3-2. Ah, okay, thanks, Spike. I can fix that. Okay. Well, the white noise is because my mic is shitty. Well, not shitty, but okay, not terrible. Well, the white noise is because my mic is shitty. Well, not shitty, but okay, not terrible. Well, the white noise is because my mic is shitty. Well, not shitty, but okay, not terrible. Well, the white noise is because my mic. But alright, we'll get back to it. Where was I? Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. We were doing the squad units and compositions. Okay, so to make a composition, it's very simple, really. It's any object in the game can be made into a composition. Which, if you create your custom ones, that gets stored here under compositions, custom, and as you can see, I've got a lot of these saved that I can put down. So, for example, I've got this thing that I've saved for missions. It's just a little guerrilla camp. Some of these are provided too in Bohemia, like for example under props. There you can see they've got all sorts of stuff. But obviously for custom ones, you have to go to that tab. So That's how I do the units. For example, for our main ops, or missions that we run on our private server, I have this already all set and ready to go. So this is our entire unit structure for our servers. Got the Zeus Operators, Scalpel, the sniper team, all of SOAR, and then each of the 4 squads. So Delta 1-1. The game bugs out and doesn't save these for some reason, but Delta 1-1, Delta 1-2, 2-1, 2-2, 3-1, 3-2, etc., etc. But for PvP, it's a little bit different. Also, since this is vanilla, we don't need, number one, we don't need SOAR or any pilots since it's all ground. And we're in a close quarters environment, which ends also urban. So there's no need. Also, the distance between each objective is very, very close, like 200 to 300 meters type. There are small land vehicles provided at each end. The way you set it up is you put down blue 4 units one side, 4 units on the other, and then you just set each of those units to be playable. Real quick on how to do that. All of this stuff, by the way, is in the Eden editor, or 3den, and it's you access it through the main menu. There'll be a big old box that says editor. Click on that. Click on the map you want to load into. So I'm on Altus right now, and then you get on your merry way. But back to how to make, when you place down an AI, like if you just were to go down to AI, I placed, let's say, a rifleman. This guy, you can tell, he doesn't have those purple circles around him. That means he's just AI. Like, so when the mission loads and the players load in, this won't be a playable unit. He'll just be sitting there. To make him playable, you double click, and then you go, let's see, it's not states. Yes, go to control, and then playable. And just all this stuff has a description on it too when you're doing it. So, like this will say, when enabled, the character will appear as a slot in the multiplayer scenario lobby and in the list of roles available for team switch. So this is basically making it a multiplayer, like, controllable thing. Role description can be whatever you want. So it can be like, Delta 1-1 or like 1-4, whatever it is, Delta 1-4 squad lead or something. You type in that, and that'll show up next to their thing in the lobby. So that way people know what role they're joining. So you could, like, put AT soldier, for example, or whatever you wanted. But if you click playable, it changes the icon to those of these. Next thing, to make it so that each person is like under their own, is in a squad. So you can see there's 4, 6, 8. Yeah. God, I can't count. 2, 4, 6 squads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So each of these units will be. You can see these little light blue lines. That means that they are grouped to a unit, like a member that is the leader of that group. It's very simple to do that. All you have to do is right click, connect, group 2. Sync 2 is for modules and other things. And if I want, if I hover over it and I hit delete, I can delete that link. And as you can see, a squad like an icon appears because this is now its own entity and own leader. So it's got its own like options and stuff. I think that's about it for setting that part up. The next thing you want to do is set up respawns. So if I press M, and you guys, if I zoom in here, this is like a 2-dimensional view essentially. You see this marker here that says Op4HQ. You can name that whatever you want. The important thing is what it says in parentheses. That's what the game reads. That is, and it's respawn_east. The 4 different factions technically in Arma. There's Op4, Blue 4, Ind 4, which is independent, and then civilian. And each of them, if you were in multiplayer, have their own respawns. So, for example, Blue 4 would be respawn_west. Op 4 is respawn_east, because that's just how the game decides. if you wanted the respawn system to like for each player that plays on Op 4, they respawn at respawn east marker. That's essentially what this is, and then so on and so forth. So civvies would respawn at their civilian marker, respawn underscore civilian. This is an empty marker, so if I hop out here, actually if I hop out and hit backspace, this won't show up on the map. It shows up now just for like maintenance purpose, but as you can see, there's nothing marked on the map right now, except for these two, which they're empty markers, and that's just so whoever's like where your mission ending, you can see where the markers are. But yeah, to place a marker, you first have to hit M, and then you go to markers, click on it, and then you go down to, there's all sorts of different types. You can like blue 4 markers, civilian, op 4, independent, etc. But to place an empty one, you go down to system, and you hit empty, just click on it, and there it goes. Double click to edit its properties, and if I wanted to make a respawn point for a civilian, there'd be that. You don't have to put anything in the text. I just do it so it's so I know where each of the respawn points are. So I do civilian respawn. Size, color, none of that matters because this is technically an invisible marker. It won't show up in game. And so if I had any civilians, and if they died, they would respawn at that point. That's only the first part of it. The second half of it is to actually, you have to go into the game settings and make sure that it understands that number one, it's in a multiplayer setting, and number two, that it will utilize the respawn variables correctly. So to do that, you go up to your taskbar up here, or menu bar, attributes, then you click on multiplayer. Then the game mode is just what will come up when people are searching and the server filters and stuff. Min players, max players, is so the server recognizes the max number of players. The min isn't really necessary, especially when you have your server set to persistent, but that's a little bit over most people's heads for right now. Summary is what we'll actually show in the description. So this 91st SFG Altus sector control, for example. It disabled this, so I don't want AI enabled. Not going to auto-assign slots, and then respawn right now is disabled, so I need to set that to respawn on custom position. That way, and then if, for example, since this is a multiplayer, I have a ticket system, and the counter will just tell them how long they have to wait before respawn, and I'm going to set that to 10 seconds. Show scoreboard, allow menu respawn, I usually leave those fine. I don't allow AI score. Don't worry about this because this is set up by a different system. I hit save loadout, so that way it will save the loadout. If you're running ACE, don't click this. ACE has its own respawn system that you should use instead of this, and it works very similarly. But if you hit this and then also do the ACE, it'll glitch out. So, and now I'm going to turn on revive. So I'm going to do revive. This is the in-game vanilla revive system. A lot of people don't know that there is one. It's actually pretty well implemented, but hopefully it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But revive mode we'll set it so it's controlled by player attributes. The required trait. So in order for a unit to revive somebody that's been shot, they have to be a medic. That's what this is saying. Required items. What do they need to carry? They need to be carrying a medikit. You can set that obviously, but I'll set it so they need to carry a medikit. And then for PvP, that puts more of an emphasis on your medics, trying to keep them alive, because the ability to revive someone is pretty big in PvP. Revive duration, that's default, that's fine, 6 seconds. I usually crank this to 3 times if it's running like this type of thing. Oops, and it'll glitch out like that too. Force respawn, gonna increase that to 10 seconds. and then we'll do incapacitation mode advanced. And this is basically, so basic is, as it says in the description, players will always enter the incapacitated state. So it's kind of just saying even if you get hit by like a landmine or something, you're going to always be unconscious until they can revive you. Advanced means that like if you do get blown up, it will kill you. If you get shot, you won't. Like you'll be unconscious. And if they like continue to shoot you, then they'll kill you. Realistic is like hardcore. Like it takes into account the caliber of the bullet. So if you get shot by like a 7.62 or something, it'll insta kill you. But this is more of a relaxed PvP. But like at the same time, we're not just like. And actually, I'll tell you guys later why I don't have it in basic mode, because especially in a sector control mission because of certain things. But I'll have it set to advance. Bleed out duration 2 minutes. We'll up that to 3 minutes. Give them a little bit more time. And that should be it. Sector control. Spawn. I'll set them in players. Since this is going to be aimed at our pub server, that's a max player count of 60. Click OK. And I'll click save. Obviously I've already got this saved in a directory. And I'll do the same thing. Alter the title. SFG. Altus sector control. Just by the 91st SFG. And this is if you want a custom picture in the overview and loading screen and all that. This is the file path system. Basically, it's not that hard. Basically, you use your backslash to indicate the directory in which your image is stored in. So, for example, in the game files in this specific mission that I've saved, I have it stored first off under media. Images, so it's another folder within media, and then within images the file name. So I've got 91st logo.paa. PAA is the best format you want because it is the smallest file size and is also what the game reads natively for any images like textures and such. So it'll be the least taxing on your computer and on the server. Text, I don't know. Just putting down just a little blurb for people to read and to get an idea of what this game mode is. I have the most tickets at the end to win. It's probably pretty good. A little bit lengthy, but so I'm just pasting that on all three descriptions. This is basically when you in the lobby there'll be a summary. People don't know. People probably don't read it, but there is a summary up at the top left, and I'll put the same picture on all three as well. This, I believe, is if it's when you're downloading. If I were to publish this on Steam, it would show this picture and this description. Like in the if you wanted to host your own mission on your own computer. This is the loading screen. This is what you guys would see in like the little center of the screen that pops up. Independence. I'm gonna make them enemy to both in case I do have Zeus enabled in this mode, but it's only for certain people. But this, if Zeus were to like step in and start putting down independence, then it would be enemy to both factions. Essentially, that's what this is saying. Binarize, that just means it saves time. It even says there the process saves loading time, but makes the file uneditable in a text editor. Don't really worry about that. And yep, that's it. Save. I will adjust the environment as well. I'll set the date to 2017. July, so there's the most daytime. Make it so it's a full moon. Set it in the morning. And yep, time multiplier 1. Click OK. And that way for the most of the game mode it'll be daytime. I don't want it to be a nighttime PvP. Also I haven't given any of the units night vision or anything, so performance, this is garbage collection. This is basically making sure corpses and stuff are cleaned up after a certain amount of time. The minimum distance is self-explanatory, how far away the player has to be from a corpse. Character corpse, I'll do all of them. I'll crank that down. Only 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes it'll delete objects that have died. And vehicles, I set this to only objects that cannot respawn, because if you don't do that and you have vehicles in your mission that are like set to respawn, they will be included in the garbage collection, and you will sometimes lose them. Like the system will think it's another wreck and delete it, and then it won't respawn. So and obviously you don't want that to happen. So for this mission anyway, if it's just an infantry mission, then yeah, it wouldn't matter. But such is life. I believe that's all the attributes taken care of. Daytime is set. Just some few things here. This blue stuff you see, these are called triggers. They're basically, I mean, they're self-explanatory. If they walk within the bounds or outside the bounds, something will happen, or you can set it to whatever you want. But if I double click on it, set the size, the height. -1 means infinite height. The shape, you can obviously, and you can tweak the shape and stuff as well manually. This is the type. I usually don't worry. This is like specific things, like for the end game mode, you can have it. A lot of this stuff refers to the end game, but I just have none. Who can activate the trigger? Do they have to be present? This is repeatable, and it's not server only, so it's on both systems, client side and server side. This is the code it'll run. Basically, this one it's kind of prevents you from getting shot and killed in this area, so in the base. So it basically makes it so Blue 4 can't spawn camp Op 4. Let's say they took all these objective markers. These are objectives, and I'll get into sector control in a second. That's the framework of how this PvP mode works, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty stuff, and then we'll do that real quick, and I'll finish up this video. But yeah, these are the objectives. So you can see these triggers here. That's objective A, B, C is the big one in the center, D, and E. And they are roughly equidistant from each other and from each base's spawn location. Just, do you want it to be fair and balanced? But yeah, so this trigger right here prevents spawn killing, essentially. Sets the player damage so they can't take damage when they're inside the boundaries of this trigger, but as soon as they pass outside, they can. And obviously the same thing is set for Blue 4. And then I also have a warning boundary system that will insta-kill the player. We'll first give them a warning and then insta-kill them if they step outside the boundary. And as you can see, it's these two ellipses here. The first ellipse, the shorter one, or the smaller one, is the warning one. Oh, hopefully if I can find it. I think I labeled them. Yep. So I name everything, like especially game logic and stuff like that, so that way I can search it over here on this side. For example, I've got all my ammo boxes. I have ammo in them, so that way if I have to edit them for something, I can find them real quick, and I can also edit them all at once. So if I do that again, if I click and shift click, right click, attributes, I can edit all of these at once here, which is really helpful. It saves a lot of time. But yeah, back to the warning boundary. Double click that, get into its properties. This is set to activation by anybody, obviously. I don't want it to be just Blue 4 or Op 4. Repeatable, they have to be basically present, means that they have to physically be at that coordinate or location. Same condition system. This is just saying if you're a player or in a vehicle. And then on activation, so what happens when the trigger is activated, it pops up a hint on the player screen Stop now, you are leaving the fight, you will perish. I'll change that to be exclamation points. And then on deactivation, nothing. I'll save that. And then the kill boundary, which is the bigger one. Players set damage 1. That's basically when you set damage 1, it means it's they're killed. It's an instant kill. And the same thing, if you're in a vehicle or a player, it will automatically kill you if you get past that boundary system. And obviously the same size, all that stuff, same stuff up here. Okay. And then unfortunately players don't see the triggers on the map. So that's why you kind of see here there's a slight discrepancy in the lines, but I have to manually place down ellipses, and those are markers that they actually will be able to see. So that way if they check their map, they can see like, okay, that's boundary type of thing. That's where it is. And that's very simple. Again, it's in markers. Down, see there's icons here, and then areas over here. Click on areas, and then ellipse, and then you can change the properties and all that fun stuff. Color, what kind of, do I want border, which is what it is right now, so it's just the border. Horizontal, etc. So you guys get the picture. Let's see. Okay. So the main system for how, if you want to do your own PvP mission, how you need to set it up. First things first, you want to make sure you first make a mission where you don't have any mods loaded up. There's a lot of mods that will actually mess with PvP for some reason or another. So it's also just best to do in vanilla and then add mods as you continue, as you move it, as you develop it and such. I ignored these for a moment. Those are Zeus modules. The big things are these sector controls. So over here, to find and place them, you'll find it under Systems, Multiplayer, and and Sector. So the respawn position is if you want multiple respawn positions, which I don't have, but you can if you want. And you basically just place it down as you just saw, and if you want multiple, you place multiple. Hang on. Let's do search sector. I want to make sure I do this. Yeah, you first have to place down a gameplay mode. So this tells what the server and the system is supposed to be running. And I believe you can, yes, under gameplay modes. There we go. So this is what you first want to place down, is a sector control module. Don't ever place more than one. It will not run and won't work properly. But that's this one. So, and as you can see, everything's synced to this one, the central thing. So you first place that down, and you literally, it's just basically telling the game and the server what it's doing. And then from there, you start placing sectors. So, see this one, I place sector A, B, C, D, and E. And it's the same, it's exactly as I showed you guys. If I just search sector again, you can find it here under multiplayer. And then your next step would be to sync that sector, or multiple sectors, to the sector control gameplay mode. Your next step would be, as you can see there's a line over here, would be to go over and to place an area. This is a game logic entity. So over here you can see there's modules and logic entities. Click on logic entities. Let's see, where is it? Locations, area. It's telling what defines the sector, essentially. You're telling it that, okay, the sector is defined as being an area of some sort. Place that down. Again, you don't do anything with it. And you make sure that's synced to the sector that you want. So this is synced to sector A. So this will be called sector A. And then the third thing you have to do is to place a trigger down. Excuse me. And you find that up here under triggers. and whatever kind you want. You can place a square one, circle, whatever you want, but you place it down. Again, you know the drill. You double click it. Actually, it's not that one. It is this one. You just literally place a trigger and nothing else. Leave everything default, and then sync that trigger to the area. This one is, I'll get into, actually I won't get into it. This is a little bit more detailed than what probably most people are concerned about, but that's if you want each side to control certain sectors at the beginning of a match, is what that other trigger is for. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of it, of how to set it up. And then, you know, as you can see, it's to each of them for each of the sectors. And then, like, some other thing you want to make sure you do is to define which sides are going to be controlling each sector. So that you can do in game, under systems, logic entities, sides, blue 4 and op 4, as those are the two sides. So I have op 4 and blue 4, and then you sync them both to the sector control module. Again, if you can see there's nothing to edit here. So you just literally place them down and sync it. And that's the basics of a basic sector control system. If you want to have respawn tickets and such, like tickets as to that will define when the game mode ends, as probably most people would, you can find that under respawn. Oops. Maybe if I type in tickets. Nope. Maybe I'm searching in the wrong thing. There you go. Respawn tickets. Under scenario flow. Respawn tickets, place that model down, and then, for example, let's say you want to have them start off with 500 each. There you go. Simple as that. And this you don't sync to anything. As you can see, there's no lines or connecting it. You just place it down and boom, and you're done. Next thing, if you want that system, you need to have a bleed ticket system. Otherwise, it'll just perpetually go on. So if I do bleed, same thing, bleed tickets. And if I double click the existing one, I tell what the dominance ratio is, which is basically saying each sector has to be controlled only like greater than 0.5, essentially. 0.51 means greater than, so 0.5 or more controlled by one side will say, okay, that's going to initiate the ticket bleed for that specific sector. And since there's multiple sectors, the game mode will sum them all up, obviously, in the appropriate manner. The delay, as you can see, delay in seconds between every bleeding step, so when it calculates each step, so it's basically saying every 3 seconds is when the tickets will be subtracted, and just one ticket every step will be subtracted. And that's it. Okay, again, nothing synced here, it's by itself. And you want only one module of each, obviously. You don't want conflicting things. And if I hit the map mode, you can see how this is set up here. So this is the gameplay mode. This is each of those sectors. If I double click, you can obviously name it whatever you want. Actually, I'll say this is A, just to make it easier. And then this is, all this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just show it here briefly. You can have it so that, seizing a sector increases your score overall for the side, but it doesn't really matter. It's not like calculating, it's not like an individual score system, so it's kind of meaningless. Everyone means that everyone can operate this sector. Believe you want that set for everything, yeah. Default owner, this is basically saying at the start of the match, op4 will be the default owner. And then I have it set so D and E are default set for a blue 4, and then C is neutral, so each side has 2 objectives when they first start the match, and then they rush to control C. Yeah, that's about it. I'll edit these real quick so they're just read B. Yep. And then the Zeus modules, those you can find if you want to be able to Zeus during the operation. As you can see, I won't double click them because I don't want to broadcast the user IDs, but basically the way you do it is if you go under modules, Zeus, Game Master, and you click it, some random error, and then you can set the owner. So you can set a unit variable name, a custom UID, and it tells you, and then this basically gives that person Zeus access. That is about it. The rest of it is just cosmetic stuff like walls and such like that. For example, I put walls here so you can't, each side can't just like flank around the long way. They have to go through the city. Make it so there's more combat. Essentially, it's focusing the combat inside the city. Infantry can climb over these walls, but the main thing is I don't want vehicles, and you don't want to have to, like say someone capped here, but then like have the other team, they just speed over to this side and they start back capping. That's kind of frustrating. You want to, you want it to be somewhat predictable. And obviously if you're an infantryman trying to run along here, you're going to take frickin' forever to get anywhere, so it's really not worth it. And yep, same thing for this side, obviously. Like I've cut off these lanes, and up here as well, down across, and there's a kill boundary, so yeah, obviously if they step outside this, they die anyway. Yeah, that's about it. And then obviously, I've made each little objective kind of unique and different. Like that's basically, there's a barracks building and a cargo tower and some H barriers. It allows for close quarter combat, and an opposing team could occupy these buildings, for example, and fire across to attack. There's multiple attack routes. I have set it up so that people can't just drive in like willy-nilly into an objective and start camping. Like, they have to be somewhat tactical about it. Especially this objective. This is, you cannot get a vehicle in here. You have to get in as infantry. And there's different routes you can take, and I've got pathing and stuff. Objective C, so this is D, that's E. Those are both held by blue 4 at the beginning. C is the neutral one, and it's also the biggest. And there's multiple defense positions. I've got 2 static and non-fueled, so that way they can't drive these away. Vehicles. And I've also disabled the thermal vision, so I don't want anyone to be able to use thermal in a PvP, as it's a bit too overpowered, especially in a PvP scenario. So all they can use is standard sights or night vision, which they won't need night vision anyway. Got some aesthetic stuff, some Rex, etc. H barriers to block these in. These are destructible, so they can be destroyed via explosives or whatever, but they are set to respawn in this position. And as you can see, they're boxed in, you can't get them out, and they won't have fuel anyway. So each objective, or not each objective, but the 3 center objectives, so this objective C, and then so C, D, and B, they have little arsenals here, and they've got some basic supplies like ammo and such, but there's no guns or anything. So so it basically gives the advantage to the defender slightly, so they can rearm and such and defend. And defending this, especially this point in particular, is very difficult. There's so many different avenues of attack. So, and that's also why there's bunkers and stuff too. So, B is a close quarters, exclusively focused combat area. I put down a bunch of shipping containers with establishing pathing and angles of being able to look around. There's also, you can go by the water, but as you can see, you can't just go all the way around. But one could sneak up here, go in the water, climb up this ladder, have these boxes as cover, and then push in. So there's multiple ways to push in here. Same thing if you're coming from this side. back to and go to A, which is the last one, then we'll finish this up. A, I've just used these already existing infrastructure here. Like, is anything that doesn't have like a gray icon or a yellow icon or something in between means it's already part of the map. So I just kind of built upon that and just made it a little bit more fortifiable. So through some testing on our private server, I realized that this needed to be a bit more easy to attack, but also to defend, as this building can be destroyed, which then makes this pretty much impossible to defend, at least without all these H barriers. At least now, now this way they have walls and roots to cover for attackers. The attackers also, if they can manage to push up, they can use these H barriers as cover as they're pushing in. And then there's some stuff here to prevent the enemy, like they can push up here, or this team can push up here and occupy this if they're trying to attack this objective. The enemy can, it's designed mostly for this team to push up to here to have a better attacking position, not the other way around. And obviously if they tried spawn camping, they couldn't anyway, because they can't kill any Op 4 unit that's inside this boundary, so it's set up pretty well. And likewise for this team. As there's a cargo tower here, this can also be destroyed. But at the same time, if someone occupies this, they have a very easy vantage point on the blue 4 base. And so to counteract that, I gave blue 4 some positions that they can, these are indestructible H barriers, so they could, hide out behind here and shoot back at the tower if they have someone that's a good marksman on their team. Also H barriers up front, so that way it makes it so even if these walls get destroyed, for example, the enemy team still has something that they can have as a foothold to attack, and hopefully if they're doing it smart, they could have a couple vehicles move along the main road or even flank a little bit farther around. Yeah, excuse me, my voice is going. That's about it. Basic mission making for a PvP mission, specifically sector control. Alright, well, thank you to anyone who is watching. I'm going to go and Zeus, a public operation on our public server now, which is it's set up as an invade and annex, and hopefully I'll see you guys in there. Take care.